The whistle blew like a gunshot in my chest, shattering the roar of the crowd into a deafening silence that swallowed me whole. Coach Harlan's face twisted into something feral as he jabbed a meaty finger at my chest, his voice a gravelly snarl that echoed across the frost-kissed turf. "You're done, kid, too damn young for this level of heat." I stood there, cleats sinking into the mud of that October night in suburban Ohio, my helmet dangling from numb fingers, while the truth clawed at my throat. It wasn't my age. It was the rumor about me and Jake, whispered like poison through the locker room, the one that painted me as the freak who loved the wrong way. I remember the exact moment it all unraveled, that Friday night under the halogen lights of Eisenhower High Stadium, where the air smelled of hot dogs and desperation. We'd been undefeated that season, me a junior phenom at 18. Yeah, I know, technically a senior by credits, but I'd skipped a grade and started varsity early, which made me the baby of the team. 5'11", lean as a whipcord with legs that could outrun a linebacker. I'd earned my spot as wide receiver through sheer grit. Practices were brutal symphonies of grunts and collisions, but they were mine, our brotherhood forged in sweat and shared Gatorade swigs. And then there was Jake. Jake Harlan, no relation to the coach, thank God, was the quarterback, golden boy with tousled blonde hair and eyes like summer cornfields. We'd grown up together in that sleepy corner of Cleveland, trading comic books and secrets since we were 10. By high school, those secrets had deepened into something electric, stolen kisses behind the bleachers, hands brushing in the dark of his basement during sleepovers that stretched into dawn. He was my first everything. First crush, first heartbreak tease, first real love. "We're in this together, Eli," he'd whisper, his breath warm against my neck after a particularly savage tackle, his fingers tracing the curve of my shoulder like it was a map to safety. I believed him. God, how I believed him. That night, we just clinched a win against our rivals from Akron, the scoreboard blazing 28-14. The adrenaline was still pumping as we huddled in the end zone, helmets off, steam rising from our bodies like ghosts. I slung an arm around Jake's waist, innocent enough in the chaos, or so I thought, pulling him in for a bro hug that lingered a beat too long. The crowd was a sea of screaming faces, pom-poms waving like flags of surrender. But someone saw. Parent? A teammate's girlfriend? It didn't matter. By the time we hit the locker room, the whispers had turned to stares. Coach Harlan burst in like a storm front, his clipboard cracking against a locker. Elliot Hayes. My full name, nobody called me that unless the world was ending. The room went pin-drop quiet, the only sound the drip of shower heads in the distance. My office. Now. Jake shot me a look, wide-eyed and pleading, mouthing, "What the hell?" as I followed the coach out. His office was a shrine to mediocrity. Faded pennants, a desk buried under playbooks, and a single bulb swinging like a noose. He didn't sit, just loomed, red-faced, veins bulging like rivers on a map. "I got calls, Eli, parents, saying things about you and my boy, his boy Jake." The words hung there heavy as chainmail. I froze, heart hammering against my ribs. "Coach, it's not." But he cut me off, slamming a fist on the desk. "You're too young for this shit. Too green. Can't handle the pressure, the distractions." Distractions. The word was a knife, twisting with implication. I wanted to scream it wasn't true, that Jake and I were careful, that love wasn't a distraction but the fire that made me faster, sharper. But fear choked me. Coming out in Eisenhower? It was social suicide. Worse, it could torch Jake's future, scholarships, the NFL dreams his dad pinned on him like a crown of thorns. "You're off the team," Coach growled, his eyes avoiding mine. "Effective immediately. Tell your folks it's maturity issues. Too young to play with the big boys." Lies stacked on lies, each one a brick in the wall he was building between me and everything I'd fought for. I nodded, numb, the fight draining out like blood from a wound. As I grabbed my bag, he added, softer, almost pitying, "Keep your head down, kid. This town's got long memories." The drive home was a blur, windshield wipers slapping against a drizzle that felt like tears from the sky. Mom and Dad were waiting in the kitchen, the scent of meatloaf cooling on the counter. A Friday ritual shattered. "Dad," a mechanic with grease etched into his knuckles like tattoos, just pulled me into a bear hug. "We'll fight this," he muttered, but Mom's eyes, sharp as her nurse's scrubs, saw through me. "What really happened, Eli?" I broke then, the story spilling out in fragments. The rumors, the too young excuse, the unspoken truth of who I was. They didn't flinch. Dad cursed the coach under his breath. Mom squeezed my hand, whispering, "You're our son, always." It was the first time I'd said it aloud to them, "I'm gay." And the world didn't end, but my world had. School Monday was a gauntlet. Lockers slammed like judgments, whispers trailing me like smoke. Ferry got benched. Someone hissed in the hall. Jake cornered me by the vending machines, his face pale as milk. "Eli, I swear, I didn't." But his eyes darted, guilty. Later, in the empty chem lab where we'd first kissed, he confessed. "Dad cornered me. Said if I didn't back his story, he'd pull me too. Scholarships, Eli. I can't." Betrayal bloomed hot in my chest. But I saw the fear in him, the same fear I'd swallowed. "Just go," I whispered, turning away. He did, leaving a ghost of himself in my heart. Winter came hard that year, snow blanketing the fields where I'd once flown like an arrow. I threw myself into books, AP classes, anything to outrun the ache. Track season offered a lifeline, cross-country, solitary, no team politics. But Jake haunted the edges. A wave in the parking lot, a text deleted unread. Spring brought college acceptances, Ohio State on partial academic ride, no sports strings attached. I packed for Columbus that summer, the Harlan house shrinking in the rearview, a chapter closing with a dull thud. Freshman year at OSU was reinvention. Buckeye Red swallowed me, lectures on literature and psych filling the voids. I joined the GSA, tentative at first, then fierce. Marches on campus, panels where I shared my story in clipped sentences, the crowd nodding like they understood the weight. There I met Theo, a theater major with ink-black hair and a laugh like wind chimes. He was out and proud, unapologetic, dragging me to coffee shops where we debated Whitman and Woolf over lattes. Our first date was a picnic under the Olentangy River bridges, fireflies dancing like secrets. "You're a survivor, Eli," he said, lacing fingers with mine. Felt like permission to breathe. But ghosts don't stay buried. Sophomore year, Jake transferred in full-ride QB star. Word spread like wildfire. He'd led his team to state semis after I left, Coach Harlan's golden redemption. Our paths crossed at a tailgate, the air thick with grilled brats and beer. He looked older, sharper, but his eyes softened when they found me across the bonfire. "Eli." One word. Loaded. Theo was inside, charming alums. I could have walked away. Instead, I stayed, the pull magnetic. We talked for hours, the fire dying to embers, old wounds reopening like flowers in rain. "I was a coward," he admitted, voice raw. "I loved you. Still do." The confession hung, a bridge or a trap. I didn't forgive him that night, but I didn't hate him either. Life in Columbus was a whirlwind. Internships at a local lit mag, Theo's arms a safe harbor. Yet Jake lingered, texts turning to coffees. Just friends, blurring into late-night drives where we'd park by the Scioto and talk dreams deferred. Theo noticed, his smiles tightening. "He's your what if, isn't he?" Jealousy simmered, but so did truth. Jake was the boy who'd broken me. Theo, the man rebuilding. By junior year, I was editor of the campus scene, penning essays on queer resilience that got republished in national rags. Jake, meanwhile, was Heisman contender, scouts buzzing. But pressure cracked him. A fumbled pass in a crucial game, headlines questioning his focus. He showed up at my door one blizzard night, snow-cloaked and shattered. "I need you, Eli. Not the team, not Dad. Just you." We kissed like drowning men, desperate and deep, but I pulled back. "Not like this. Not when you're running from yourself." He left, but the seed was planted. Spring brought decisions. Theo proposed we make it official, rings and futures. I said yes, heart full but shadowed. Graduation loomed, caps and gowns a promise of escape. Little did I know, the real game was just beginning. The summer after college was a haze of possibility. the kind that tastes like freedom and fresh-cut grass. Theo and I loaded a U-Haul with dreams, his theater gigs in New York, my grad school acceptance at Columbia for creative writing. But Jake's shadow followed, a text on the eve of our departure. "Proud of you, Eli. Always will be." I deleted it, but the ache lingered like a bruise. Manhattan hit like a fever dream, skyscrapers clawing at cobalt skies, the subways rumble a constant heartbeat. Theo thrived in the chaos, landing an off-Broadway role in a queer retelling of A Midsummer Night's Dream, his Puck all fire and flirtation. I buried myself in workshops, dissecting narratives of loss and longing, my thesis shaping up as a memoir fragment. Too young for the game. Professors raved. Agents sniffed. Evenings we'd collapse in our walk-up in Harlem, take out Thai and wine, his head on my lap as I read drafts aloud. "You're going to change the world, babe," he'd murmur, fingers tracing my jaw. It was love, solid as the Brooklyn Bridge, but I wondered if it was enough to eclipse the past. Jake's name surfaced in sports feeds, drafted first round to the Browns, Cleveland's prodigal son returning home. Headlines gushed, Harlan's heir, from high school heartbreak to pro glory. Heartbreak. The word stung, a deliberate echo. I scrolled past, but fate has a cruel sense of humor. Fall semester, a reading series brought me back to Ohio for a panel on Midwestern queer voices. Theo couldn't come. Rehearsals? But I flew solo, nerves jangling like loose change. The event was at an indie bookstore in Cleveland Heights, shelves groaning under tomes of forgotten poets. Post-reading Q&A turned personal fast. How do you reclaim your body after sports betrayal? I paused, the room's eyes on me, and let it spill. The ejection, the too young lie, the love that cost me everything. Applause thundered, but in the back, half hidden by a stack of hard covers, stood Jake. 6'2" now, broader, but those eyes unmistakable. He waited until the crowd thinned, then approached, a signed rookie card in hand like an olive branch. That was you. Raw. We ended up at a dive bar nearby, neon buzzing Luckies over sticky booths. Beers arrived unbidden, and words followed. "Therapy," he said when I asked about the change. After the draft, Dad pushed harder. "Man up, focus." But I crashed. Panic attacks in the huddle. Finally told him everything. Coach Harlan's reaction? Disownment temporary, a chasm bridged only by Jake's pro-contract leverage. He gets it now, or pretends to. Bitterness laced his laugh, but vulnerability shone through. "I outed us both last year. Press conference after the Super Bowl hype. I'm gay, and it doesn't define me. It frees me." The bar spun a little then, my beer untouched. Pride swelled, tangled with old hurt. "Why now?" I asked. He leaned in, voice low. "Because I never stopped loving you. And because you deserve to know. I proved them wrong for both of us. We didn't kiss. It wasn't time. But as he walked me to my hotel, the city lights haloing him, I felt the first thaw. Back in New York, Theo listened without judgment, his arms a fortress. "Go see him," he urged. "Closure's a gift." So I did. Thanksgiving weekend, a quick flight to Cleveland. Jake's apartment overlooked Lake Erie, minimalist with footballs on shelves like trophies turned talismans. We cooked, burnt turkey and lumpy gravy, laughing like kids. Stories poured. His coming out fallout, teammates who'd rallied, the coach's grudging apology forwarded via email. He said, "I was wrong about you, kid. About everything." Tears pricked my eyes. Forgiveness tasted like salt. Nights blurred into intimacy, not rushed, but reverent. Hands rediscovering paths. Whispers of "I'm sorry," blending with "I missed you." It was romantic, the way old loves reignite, embers to blaze. But dawn brought reality. Theo's texts, unanswered. Guilt gnawed. "This can't be," I told Jake Sunday morning. Sheets tangled like regrets. "I love him too." He nodded, pain etching lines on his face. "Then go. But know this door stays open." The flight back was torment, skyline shrinking to specks. Theo met me at JFK. No accusations, just a hug that cracked my resolve. It was him, wasn't it? Over diner pie that night, I confessed. Not details, but the heart of it. His face crumpled, but resolve hardened. We fight for us, Eli. Or we don't. We tried counseling, date nights in Central Park, but the fracture widened. By spring, it was over, amicable as heartbreaks go. You're meant for more, he said at our last goodbye, suitcase in hand. Don't let fear clip your wings again. Alone in the city, I channeled it into writing. Too Young became a full manuscript, queries flying to agents like paper airplanes. Rejections piled, but one bit. A small press in San Francisco, hungry for voices like mine. Publication date: fall next year. Readings followed, then podcasts, This American Life segment on sports and sexuality. My voice steady as I recounted that whistle's echo. Invites poured, TEDx, high school assemblies. Back in Ohio, Eisenhower reached out. Assembly on inclusivity? Coach Harlan himself emailed. Let me make it right. I accepted. Summer 29. The stadium unchanged. Ghosts thick as humidity. Seniors in the bleachers, faces open. I spoke from the 50-yard line, mic hot in my palm. They called me too young. But age isn't the measure, courage is. Jake was there, front row, his presence a quiet anchor. Q&A turned to him when a kid asked about love in the crosshairs. It's messy, I said, eyes locking his, but worth every scar. After, in the parking lot, he pulled me close. Stay. Not a question. I did, for a week. Dinners at diners, walks by the lake where waves whispered absolution. Romance bloomed slow. Stargazing on his balcony, hands clasped, future sketched in hypotheticals. What if I wrote your story? I teased. Ours. He grinned, that boyish flash. Make me the hero. But New York called, book tour kicking off. We parted with promises. Visits, calls, no more running. Fall brought launches, crowds in Boston, Chicago, LA. In Cleveland, the signing was electric. Fans lining up, Jake in disguise with a ball cap, his inscription in my copy. To the one who made me brave. Media frenzy followed. Out magazine profile. From bench to bestseller. Eli Hayes' redemption arc. Skeptics sneered. Easy for him with the ex-pro boyfriend. But sales soared, touching lives. Letters flooded. Teens outed in locker rooms. Parents rethinking biases. Winter hit, and with it, crisis. Jake's knee blew in playoffs. ACL tear. Career in limbo. He vanished into rehab, texts sparse. Worry gnawed. I flew out unannounced, finding him in a Pittsburgh clinic, crutches propped like sentinels. Thought you'd bailed, he muttered, but relief flooded his eyes. We talked for days, fears of obsolescence, the hollowness of grids without goals. You're more than the game, I echoed his old words. Love deepened there, in sterile halls. Reading aloud from my book, his head on my shoulder, laughter cutting tension. By spring, he was walking, then jogging, docs optimistic. Me? Too Young hit bestseller lists, film rights buzzing, Hollywood calling, a biopic with heart and heat. Theo even emailed congrats, a bridge mended in maturity. Jake proposed that June, not with rings but a play from our high school playbook, sketched on a napkin. Route 18 forever? I laughed, tears blurring ink. Yes, but life twists. July brought the call, Coach Harlan, stage 4 cancer. Jake's voice cracked on the line. He wants to see you. Closure's cruel cousin. I flew back, the hospital a beige purgatory. Harlan looked shrunken, tubes snaking like regrets. Eli, he rasped, hand trembling in mine. I failed you. Both of you. No excuses, just truth. Pride's a hell of a drug. Cost me my boy. We forgave, not for him but for us, humanity in the hush. He passed in August, funeral packed with ex-players. Eulogies laced with changed man. Jake and I stood shoulder to shoulder, a united front. In the cemetery's quiet, under oaks shedding gold, he whispered, we proved them wrong. I nodded, heart full. But the real test loomed, life beyond victories. Autumn 30 swept in like a quarterback sneak, full of promise and hidden plays. Jake's rehab progressed to team drills, his limp fading like a bad memory. We settled into a rhythm, Me splitting time between New York edits and Cleveland weekends. Our love across state relay. Mornings in his kitchen. Coffee brewing as he quizzed me on plot twists. Evenings on the couch. His legs across my lap. Debating whether the biopic should cast Timothée Chalamet as Teen Me. Too pretty, I'd quip. Nah. Perfect for the heartbreak scenes. He'd counter, pulling me closer. It was domestic bliss. The kind rom-coms sell but real life earns through scars. The film deal crystallized in October. An indie studio director with queer cred. Script greenlit. Table reads in LA. Me consulting on authenticity. Jake tagged along for one. Hobnail boots on Hollywood soil. Charming execs with tales of gridiron grit. Eli's the real MVP, he'd say. Arms slung casual around me. Paparazzi flashes catching the ease of it. Back east, backlash brewed. Conservative outlets decrying woke sports propaganda. Boycotts called. I shrugged it off. Jake tensed. They're the same voices from high school, but we faced them together. A joint op-ed in The Atlantic. Too young? No, too brave. Holiday season brought family mergers. My parents adored Jake. Dad grilling him on fantasy football. Mom slipping recipes for Harlan-proof chili. His side? Trickier post-coach's death. Estranged aunts thawed over eggnog. Toasting new beginnings. New Year's Eve. We rang it in on a rooftop in Columbus. City sprawl glittering below. His kiss tasting of champagne and certainty. Marry me? He asked, proper this time. Ring simple platinum with a football engraving. Our inside joke. I said yes, the world narrowing to his smile. Wedding planning was chaos wrapped in joy. June 31. Backyard affair in Cleveland. Ohio elms arching like cathedral vaults. Theo officiated. His puck energy channeling vows with theatrical flair. In the grand play of life, you two are the plot twist that saves the show.
Guest, à Rainbow Coalition OSU à l'homme, Zine contributor, Brown Stimet Waving Foam Fingé.
No drama. Just dances under string lights. Jake twirling me to Springsteen. His whisper hot. My wide receiver, always open. Honeymoon in the Smokies, cabins and hikes. Disconnecting from buzz. There, unplugged, we dreamed big. Adopting, maybe coaching youth leagues with inclusivity mandates. A foundation, Jake mused, by a campfire crackling like applause. For kids like us. The Eli Jake Harlan Center for Queer Athletes, grandiose, but rooted in pain-turned purpose. I jotted notes, the seed sprouting. Reality intruded fall 31. Jake's full return to the field. Starting lineup, but whispers of fragile knee dogged him. First game, Monday Night Football, Stadium Electric. I watched from a luxury box, heart in throat as he dropped back, scanned, launched. A spiral arcing perfect to the end zone. Touchdown. The roar shook the glass. Tears blurred my view. Post-game, locker room hugs, then home where we celebrated slow. Pizza and Netflix, his head on my chest. Felt you there, he said. Every play. My world spun parallel. Book 2 in drafts, gridiron grace, weaving romance with redemption. Tours took me to Seattle, Austin. Podcasts dissected the power couple narrative. Envy crept in articles. Hayes' halo lifts Harlan. But we laughed it off, secure in private truths. Yet undercurrents stirred. A teammate's wife cornered me at a gala. Jake's different since you. Softer. Is that good? I bristled. Love isn't subtraction. Later, Jake confessed pressures. They want the old me. Bro dude alpha. But I'm done hiding. Climax brewed that winter. Super Bowl run. Browns contenders after decades. Jake's MVP buzz peaked. But so did scrutiny. A leaked email from an old coach aide resurfaced. Harlan's kid. Too young then? Too sensitive now? Tabloids feasted. Gay QB. Distraction or dynasty? Jake spiraled, missed throws, insomnia. It's 98 all over, he raged one night, punching a bag until knuckles bled. I held him after, ice packs and murmurs. You're not that boy. You're you. Betrayal struck pre-playoffs. His agent, slick as oil, pulled Jake aside post-practice. Image consultant says dial back the public stuff. Sponsors spook easy. Jake relayed it over dinner. Fork paused midair. Fury ignited. After everything? I slammed my napkin down. Call his bluff. But doubt flickered, Jake's eyes haunted. The team's counting on me. Us. The word us twisted, inclusive yet isolating. I flew to New York for a signing, leaving him to stew. Texts grew curt. Calls dropped. Then radio silence. Panic clawed. Voicemails pleading. Friends vague. He's in meetings. Heart pounding. I booked the red eye, landing to headlines. Harlan splits with husband amid playoff pressure? Fabricated filth. Sourced to insiders. My phone exploded. Theo's worried call. Parents' voicemails. Jake's place was dark, but his truck idled in the drive. Inside he paced, face ashen. It was a plant. Agent testing waters. I shut it down. Fired him. Relief crashed, then rage. You considered it? He deflated. For a second. God. Eli, the noise. We shattered then, words like shrapnel. My accusations of cowardice reborn, his defenses of survival instinct. I can't lose the game in you, he yelled. Silence fell jagged. I packed a bag, hotel-bound, the door click a guillotine. Days blurred, rehab for us now, separate couches and counseling. Public ate it up. Football's first gay divorce? Lies layered, but truth eroded trust. I retreated to writing, pages bleeding doubt. What if love's the ultimate fumble? Jake threw himself into drills, stats soaring ironically. Playoffs dawned without us speaking. I watched alone in a bar, cheers hollow as he led a comeback win. Post-game interview. Mike thrust. Any comment on the personal drama? His pause stretched eternal. Then, Eli's my rock. Always was. We're fighting for us, not headlines. The clip went viral, a gauntlet thrown. I called. He answered on one ring. Come home. I did. Airport reunion, a tabloid dream. Kiss in arrivals. Flashes be damned. Rekindling was raw. Therapy unpacking betrayals old and new. Date nights reclaiming joy. Spring brought green shoots. Team diversity training. My foundation launch with Jake as co-chair. Youth camps in Ohio fields. Kids running free. No too young verdicts. But summer tested anew. Infertility news. Jake's injury complications, my own echoes from stress. Adoption talks surfaced. Agencies wary of high profile. Heartache deepened, but so did resolve. Our family, he vowed, hand on mine at a consult. Romance persisted in small acts. Surprise tickets to a Broadway revival. His notes in my manuscripts. This line slays. By fall 32, normalcy teased. Jake's contract renewed. My third book deal sealed. A quiet anniversary dinner. Candles flickering on Italian linen. To proving them wrong, we toasted. Laughter followed, easy. Yet I sensed a shadow. His glances distant. Phone buzzes ignored. Everything good? Casual probe. Yeah, babe. Just legacy stuff. Truth detonated November. A manila envelope. Anonymous. Slides spilling across our kitchen table. Jake with a trainer. Post-rehab motivationals. Intimate, blurred but unmistakable. Betrayal's sequel. Sharper for its echo. Who? I choked, world tilting. He stared, horror dawning. I didn't, Eli swear. But evidence sneered. The trainer, a former college buddy, confessed via text. It was once. Weak moment. He ended it. Once. The word fractured us. Jake begged therapy, transparency, but trust's a fragile bone, snapped clean. I can't. I whispered, suitcase zipping like finality. Airport again, New York swallowing me whole. Alone in the walk-up, ghosts multiplied. High school Jake, wedding Jake, this stranger. Writing stalled. Sleep fled. Theo checked in, voice gentle. Come stay. Heal. I did, crashing on his couch, old friendship a bomb. Months passed. Divorce papers signed. Amicable facade cracking in private sobs. Jake's season tanked. Benchwarmer status a metaphor. Headlines mourned the fall of football's fairy tale. But in the wreckage, humanism bloomed. Letters from fans. Your story saved my kid. Foundation thrived, camps full. Spring 33, a tentative coffee with Jake, closure call. Cafe neutral, steam rising like peace flags. I messed up, he owned, no excuses. Chased validation in the wrong end zone. Tears shared. Forgiveness flickered. Not flame but ember. Friends? He asked. Eventually, I replied. We parted lighter, paths diverging yet parallel. Rebuilding was a marathon, not a sprint, each step deliberate, laced with the ache of what-ifs. New York summer 33 sweltered, humidity mirroring my inner churn. But Theo's sublet became sanctuary. Mornings, he'd brew espresso strong as resolve, shoving manuscripts my way. Right through it, Eli. That's your superpower. Friendship deepened, platonic anchor in the storm. No sparks, just the quiet miracle of being seen. Evenings, I'd wander Washington Square, saxophonists wailing blues that echoed my soul, pondering if love was a game with winners or just players learning rules. The divorce finalized quietly, tabloids bored by mutual growth. Jake retreated to Cleveland, announcing a sabbatical. Time for personal plays. Whispers of retirement swirled, but he channeled it into our foundation. Now the Harlan Hayes Center, irony not lost. He emailed updates, camp photos, kids' testimonials. Miss your voice in these, he'd add. I replied sparingly, walls high but cracking. Book 3 poured out that fall fumbled hearts. Raw memoir of betrayal's bite. Romantic detours into self-love. Publisher loved the edge. Advance bought freedom. Tours looped Heartland. Des Moines readings where farmers nodded at queer farm kid tales. Detroit panels on blue-collar resilience. In Chicago, a signing overlapped with Jake's charity game. Fate's nudge. I skipped, but he showed book in hand. Autograph. Grin tentative. I did, inscription wry. To the ex who taught me touchdowns and turnovers. Laughter bridged, coffee followed. Proud of you, he said. Echo of old, but earned. Winter brought pivot. Columbia tenure track offer. Professor of narrative therapy. Teaching stories as salve. I accepted, trading tours for tweed jackets. Students flooded office hours. Jocks grappling closets. Writers mining pain. One, a wrestler named Marco, mirrored my youth. Ejected for attitude. Really identity. Mentoring him sparked something. Guest lectures at high schools. From sidelines to spotlight. Eisenhower invited again. I went podium steady. Alumni packed stands. Coach's shadow absent but spirit mended in plaques. Inclusivity field. EST 33. Homancy. Absent, deliberate. Dates fizzled. Actors too performative. Lawyers too guarded. Theo teased. You're married to the page. Truth hummed. But spring 34. A conference in San Francisco shifted winds. Panel on LGBTQ lit. Moderator a poet named Riley Silverfox Charm. Irish lilt. Eyes like Atlantic storms. Post-panel drinks turned philosophical. Love's not possession, he opined over whiskey. It's witness. Widower out since 80s AIDS marches, his stories wove loss with levity. We exchanged cards. Emails bloomed, book recs, then confessions. First date. Golden Gate fog rolling in, hands brushing on benches. He was 52 to my 36, gap a chasm and a gift, perspective without pressure. No grand gestures, he warned, just presence. Romance unfolded gentle. Farmers markets in the Mission. His haiku read over brunch. Nights debating frost under quilted comforters. Sex, tender explorations, bodies maps of survival. You're healing me? I told him once, post-love haze. He smiled, fingered a lips. We're healing each other. Jake learned via mutuals. Gracious text. Heard about Riley. Happy for you. No sting, just maturity's grace. We met that summer, neutral ground. A foundation gala in D.C., suits sharp as scalpels. Toasts clinked. Dances divided me with Riley. Slow sway to jazz. Jake with donors. Charisma undimmed. Later, balcony whispers. You look good. Settled. His eyes searched, wistful. You too. Retired. He nodded. Coaching now. High school. Irony's thick. Laughter eased. We hugged. Brothers in arms. Life layered on. Riley and I co-edited an anthology, Voices from the Outfield, Queer Sports Memoirs. Launch in 35 Drew crowds. Jake keynoting. Eli showed me the real win, being seen. Applause thundered. Afterward, Riley squeezed my hand. Your past fuels this. Love with him was steady current, not flash flood. Trips to his Cary roots. My parents' approval sealed over Thanksgiving turkey. He's kind, Mom said. Eyes that hold. But conflict loomed, American as apple pie. Politics. 36 elections raged. Anti-LGBT bills snaking through states. Ohio targeted bans on trans sports. Echoes of my youth. Foundation mobilized. Rallies in Columbus. Petitions flooding desks. Jake and I co-led Old Synergy sparking without spark. Road trips to schools, tag teaming talks. His charisma, my words. Tension simmered when a protest turned ugly. Counter-protesters jeering, groomers. Bottles flying. Jake shielded a kid, gash on his brow. I pulled him back, heart pounding. Not worth it. Hotel that night, stitches fresh, we cracked beers, vulnerability raw. Miss this, us, fighting together. Pause heavy. Me too. But Riley. He nodded. He's good for you. Deserve it. Riley flew in next day. Bandage check and quiet support. Dinner trio. Awkward at first, then fluid stories swapped. Jake's retirement tales meshing Riley's protest yarns. Bonds formed. Unexpected. Back home, Riley mused. Exes as allies? Rare magic. It was humanity's thread, weaving wounds to wisdom. Climax crested fall 36. Supreme Court case. Hayes versus Ohio Board of Ed. My suit challenging discriminatory ejections, backed by foundation data. Briefs flew. Amicus from GLAAD, Jake testifying. I was the betrayer once. Now I stand corrected. Courtroom hush, justices probing. My testimony steady. Age wasn't the issue. Acceptance was. Verdict. 6-3. Ban struck. Jubilation erupted. Headlines, queer victory on the field. Parades, calls from Obama-era allies. Jake and I hugged in the hall, Riley beaming beside. We did this, Jake whispered. Collective we, profound. Aftermath. Exhaustion, then expansion. Center franchises, campuses nationwide. A keynote at Yale, Riley in audience, pride palpable. Personally, talks turned. Fostering a teen named Alex, 16, out and orphaned. Home visits, his wary eyes softening over pizza. You wrote that book? About being kicked off. Nod. Yeah. And bouncing back. Approval sparked. Papers signed by spring 37. Alex fit. Sarcastic wit. Soccer dreams. Family tripled. Love multiplied. Riley proposed that summer. Ring carved with a haiku line. In fog, clear sight. Simple ceremony, Central Park. Alex best man with a grin. Jake sent vintage playbook as gift. New plays ahead. Honeymoon in Ireland. Cliffs and Kayleys. Alex minding the fort with Theo's help. Uncle Jake called. He reported post-return. Wants to coach Alex's team. Laughter bubbled. Bridges solid. Yet drama lingered. Winter 38, Jake's diagnosis, early Parkinson's. Irony cruel from head hits accrued. News hit like a blindside. Phone call. His voice steady but slurred faint. Genetic crap. Manageable. Rage at the game, grief for the boy who'd run free. I visited Riley in tow, hospital vigil, then home care plans. Foundation needs you, I urged. He nodded, eyes fierce. And I'll need you, friend. We were unbreakable now. Betrayal's ghost? Banished an axe. Jake mentoring Alex, drills gentle. Riley co-writing his story, vulnerability valorized. Romance with Riley deepened. Anniversaries in Paris, his poems my muse. Fumbled sequels flew, touching tremors of transition. Humanism peaked 39. Joint memoir, proven wrong. Our voices interleaved. Love, loss, legacy. Launch in Cleveland Stadium, field repurposed for readings. Thousands gathered, Alex tossing first pitch. Jake spoke last. From too young to timeless. Applause eternal. In the stands, Riley's arm around me. Alex cheering. We'd proven them not just wrong, but small. Love, in all its forms, the true MVP. The years following that stadium launch blurred into a tapestry of triumphs small and seismic. Each thread dyed in the hues of hard-won peace. By 2040, the Harlan Hayes Center stood as a beacon. Satellites in 40 states, scholarships doled like grace notes to queer youth chasing cleats or canvases. Alex thrived at 17, all gangly limbs and quiet fire, captaining his school's inclusive soccer squad under Jake's watchful eye. Coach Jay's tough but fair, he'd say, echoing my old gripes with a wink. Riley and I watched from the sidelines, his hand in mine, the symmetry soothing. A family forged not by blood but by battles shared. Jake's Parkinson's progressed in fits and starts, tremors tamed by meds, but mobility waned, cane clicking like a metronome to slower days. He leaned into coaching full-time, Eisenhower's program reborn under his helm. No 2 young benches, just open fields for all. Visits became ritual. Sunday barbecues at his lake house, ribs smoking, stories swapped. Remember that fumbled proposal? He'd rib, glass raised. Laughter flowed. Betrayals long composted into this camaraderie. Riley bonded deepest, trading poetry for pigskin lore. Alex idolized him, uncle in all but name. My writing evolved, professorship tenured, but novels branched. Echoes on the Line, a speculative queer sports saga, shortlisted for the National Book Award. Tours lightened, but impact deepened. Prison workshops, vet circles, voices amplifying mine. Riley's haiku collection sold steady. Our home a writer's nook overlooking the Hudson. Shelves groaning with collaborations. Romance stayed vital. Midnight revisions, his verses tucked in my briefcase. Walks where we'd pause, foreheads touching, whispering gratitudes. You chose me, he'd say, wonder undimmed. After the whirlwind. I'd pull him close. Whirlwinds lead here. Conflict resurfaced subtly, as it does in American dreams deferred. 41 midterms, backlash waves. New governors slashing inclusivity funds. Whispers of overreach in ed bills. Ohio hit hardest. Center grants frozen. Camps threatened. Jake called, voice-edged. They're undoing it all. We rallied. Op-eds, Capitol Hill testimonies. Alex even testifying, 17 and unflinching. You took my dad's fight. Don't steal mine. Media frenzy reignited. Hayes Harlan redux. The family that fights. Protests swelled. Peaceful marches from Cleveland to D.C. Rainbow flags snapping like sails. Climax crested in spring 42. State House showdown. Bill vote looming. Jake, mobility scooter bound. Rolled front lines. Symbol stark. I keynote the rally. Words whipping wind. They fired me at 18 for loving true. Don't let them bench a generation. Crowds surged, chants echoing. Riley anchored me post-speech, his calm a counterpoint. Night before vote, insomnia gripped. Jake's place all-nighter strategy. Alex crashed on the couch, Riley brewing tea. Dawn brought verdict. Bill defeated, 51-49. Our coalition's slim win. Jubilation spilled. Hugs in the gallery. Jake's grin triumphant despite the shake in his hands. Aftermath. Reforms locked. Funding restored. But toll exacted. Jake's health dipped. Hospital stints for falls. We circled wagons. Riley reading bedside. Alex streaming games. Legacies in them. Jake murmured one quiet eve, nodding to Alex's highlights reel. Tears pricked. I squeezed his arm. Yours too. Always. Betrayal's final echo? Personal, poignant. Fall 43, Riley's scan. Pancreatic, late stage. World tilted, cruel inversion, the healer needing healing. Denial crashed into plans. Trials, transplants, our home a hive of hope. Jake drove up weekly, banter masking fear. Alex deferred college, barista shifts for bedside vigils. Riley fought poetic, journaling odes to the unseen. His hand in mine through chemo fog. No tragedies. He'd insist, voice frail but fierce. Just X. Months blurred. Good days picnics in the park. Bad ones morphine murmurs. Jake and I co-wrote his obituary pitch. Poet who penned peace. humor our shield. Alex bloomed caretaker, his tenderness a revelation. Rally for Riley. Literary gala, proceeds to research, Jake emceeing with borrowed swagger. This man's verses saved my soul, he toasted. Crowd wept. Riley, frail and tweed, stood to thunderous love. Winter solstice 44. He slipped away. Peaceful. Haiku half scribbled on his pad. Fog lifts. Clear/heart's horizon endless. Funeral Riverside. Ashes to the Hudson. Words from us all. Jake eulogized. Riley witnessed us. Flaws and flights. I spoke last, voice cracking. You taught me love's not storm, but steady light. Alex clutched my hand. Family halved yet whole. Grief's tide pulled, but purpose propelled. Spring 45. I finished Riley's collection. Horizons Haiku. Bestseller bomb. Jake's coaching legacy cemented. National Award for Inclusive Excellence. Alex started NYU Queer Studies major, interning at the center. We three, me, Jake, Alex, deepened bond. Annual Smokies retreats, honoring Riley with cliffside reads. Years stacked gentle. 50, I retired teaching, full-time foundation head. Global now, chapters in Berlin, Sydney. Jake's chairbound but sharp, advisory whiz. Alex, out grad, launched his podcast, Out on the Field. Romance? Absent, but love abounded. Friends? Ments, the quiet thrill of sunset solo. A letter from Eisenhower's new coach. Your stories required reading. Thanks. Decade's End. 55. Gala marking 20 years post-verdict. Stadium packed, lights blazing. Jake wheeled on stage, Alex beside. I spoke center field, Mike live. Fired at 18, too young they said. But youth's the spark, age, the forge. Applause crested. In it, ghosts danced, Theo's grin from afar. Riley's whisper on wind, Coach Harlan's nod imagined. Jake caught my eye, thumbs up steady. Alex hugged fierce. Proud, Dad. Backstage, beers cracked, trio toast. To proving wrong. Laughter rang, hearts full. Life's no neat arc, but in the mess, betrayals mended. Love's layered. Conflicts conquered. Humanity shines. I prove them wrong not by winning every play, but by playing true. And in that American sprawl of fields and futures, that's victory enough. Epilogue whispers. Alex's wedding 58, Jake best man, me walking aisle, partner a journalist, eyes bright as Riley's. Vows echoed ours. Through fumbles and flights, Jake cornered me after. Cane tapping. Full circle, Eli. I nodded, throat tight. And just beginning.